So the craziest thing happened today, guys. I went to see a Transformers movie and it didn't suck. Honestly, Bumblebee is alright. Not great, but it's a considerable step up from the last 4 Transformers movies. You hear that, Michael Bay? Stay away. There might actually be some hope for this franchise yet. Hey up guys, so today's film I'm reviewing is Bumblebee, the Transformers spin-off, somewhat origin story of the mute yellow Autobot. He's always been a fan favourite, so now he's got his own movie. This is the first film in the Transformers franchise not to be directed by Michael Bay. This one's directed by Travis Knight, who you guys might recognise as the director of Kubo and the Two Strings. I would say he's got some big shoes to fill following in Michael Bay's footsteps, but honestly, I can't even remember the names of the last 4 Transformers movies. They're that forgettable. So if they keep insisting on making these films, it's about time we got some fresh blood. Bumblebee is set in 1987, but the film starts on Cybertron, which is the Autobots' home planet. They're being attacked by the Decepticons, and Optimus Prime tells Bumblebee, who is talking at this point, to go to Earth and protect the planet and await further instructions. He disguises himself as a beetle, which is then picked up by Haillee Steinfeld's character Charlie, who is a young teenage girl living in San Francisco, who is a bit edgy. She's lost her father, she's got a bit of teen angst, she's also a wannabe mechanic. She brings him home, she tinkers with him, and he comes to life, and yeah, this friendship blossoms between the two of them, and that is the heart of this story. This is a very different kind of Transformers film because it's not about the whole rock'em sock'em robot wars, worlds colliding, firework explosions extravaganza that we've been getting with Michael Bay. This is actually a very sweet, tender film about an unlikely friendship between 2 characters from very different worlds, but it's actually a very sweet story and I was engaged with it for most of it. There really isn't much else in terms of plot other than a couple of Decepticons who are on the hunt for Bumblebee because they think he will lead them to the rest of the Autobots who they're trying to kill. So yeah, what takes main focus is the friendship between Bumblebee and Charlie. It really does feel like Travis Knight is really drawing inspiration from Steven Spielberg's E.T., but also The Iron Giant, and I much prefer this to all 4 of the previous Transformers movies because it actually has some heart. Haillee Steinfeld gives by far the best performance ever seen in a Transformers movie. Granted, the bar is set ridiculously low when it comes to this franchise for acting performances, but her connection to Bumblebee feels so authentic and heartfelt. I actually got emotional during some scenes between the 2 of them. Yes, there's lots of bombs and whoomp 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 action scenes, but what's wonderful about Christina Hodgson's script here is that there's also moments for some real tender character development. A scene where Charlie and Bumblebee are listening to a collection of 80s defining songs starts off very amusing, and then it actually builds to this very sweet, emotional moment between the 2 of them, and yeah, I felt something during this scene. That's not to say that this film is without its faults, because trust me, it's got plenty of them. In typical Transformers fashion, there are so many annoying side characters, like the karate-enthused younger brother of Charlie, you've got the overly keen, trying too hard stepdad, and then you've got the nerdy neighbor who's got a crush on Charlie, whose name is Memo. Who names their kid Memo? God, whose parents Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Mine? Jesus Christ. All these characters annoy me because they're so one-dimensional and they're supposed to be like comic relief, but for every one joke that worked in this film, there were 5 where it was just... yeah. That's always been the downfall with Transformers movies though, because they try to appeal to both kids and adults, but never quite get the balance right. And the same goes for Bumblebee because there are a lot of jokes that are aimed at an older demographic who grew up in the 80s. There are plenty of 80s references here, but kids aren't gonna get the jokes because how many kids today know who Alf is? And then there's the other humor, which is aimed more at kids, which just feels very juvenile, like watching John Cena repeatedly shoot some guy with a paintball gun. And the thing is, it wasn't funny. One thing that I'll say that Bumblebee is a massive improvement on from all the previous Transformers movies is the action. Probably because this is the first Transformers film where I can actually tell who is fighting who. The special effects are also terrific in this, not just with the action sequences, but also the animation of Bumblebee's eyes. There's so much emotion behind them. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul, and it really does apply. There is a soulful connection there. And also, like the previous Transformers movies, there is some gratuitous objectification in this film. But what Travis Knight's done here is that he's kind of subverted expectations and he's objectified male characters, not the female ones. Haillee Steinfeld thankfully gets to keep her clothes on in this film, and she doesn't look ridiculously hot and sweaty and sexy like all the other female characters of the previous films. But it's two male characters in this film that take their tops off for completely unnecessary reasons, but yeah, they're still objectified the same way that the women have previously been objectified in the Transformers franchise. But yes, even though it's subversive to the Transformers tropes, it doesn't really add anything to the story. It was kind of pointless. I know the Transformers movies don't take themselves seriously, but there are also so many moments where it's so contrived. The character of Charlie survives not one, not two, but three massive close-range explosions, and she leaves this film with barely a scratch on her and her hearing undamaged. And I'm like, no. Right, the time has come to ask those three questions. Number one, would I watch this again? I'm not a big fan of the Transformers movies, but if I was to rewatch any Transformers movie, I would say it would be this one. This is probably the best of a bad bunch. Question number two, would I recommend it for you guys? I would say yes. There is certainly some enjoyment to get from this. It is just popcorn fun, and comparatively to the other Transformers movie, it's a considerable step up from all the other ones because it actually has some emotionality. So yeah, I would say it's watchable, and I would recommend it if you're just looking for something fun, lighthearted, popcorn entertainment. And question number three, what score am I gonna give it? I would go as far as to say this is the best in the Transformers franchise since the first one, but that's not really saying much, is it? It's still riddled with cliches, annoying characters, it's got a muddled tone, and yeah, some of the humor is very juvenile. But there is actually an emotionally engaging friendship at the center of this film, which is so much more interesting and watchable than all the previous Transformers movies. So I'm gonna say that Bumblebee gets a score of 5 out of 10. There you go, guys, those are my thoughts on Bumblebee. But of course, it's just one bloke's opinion. What do you guys think of Bumblebee? My quick question for you guys today is, what is your favourite Transformers movie? God, this will be interesting to see. Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in that comment section below. You guys do like this content, please don't forget to click that subscribe button. And if you want to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, all the information's in the description link below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Haillee Steinfeld, and I'll see you next time.